lunch and learn on how to set up quick videos. My esteemed colleague here, Mr. Marshall, pointed out that the box of tricks over there is probably presents quite a high barrier to entry in terms of actually doing this stuff, because there's quite a lot going on. So what we wanted to do really is talk about some simple ways of recording stuff, just using the hardware that you've already got, without any additional software. But then also to provide an introduction to the Silverbox, to say what it can do, what it can't do, and hopefully provide a sort of an entry, an entry into that. I don't propose to walk away from this discussion with you fully conversant with that, because I'm not, and that would be a bit more in depth. So that's what I want to outline here. So in setting this stuff up, what we used to do a lot of recording of separate stuff. So we'd record video, we'd record audio, we'd record different angles on different cameras, and then we'd get Poppy in Germany to merge them all together. Now that was fine, but it took time, and it made it quite complicated. So what we try to do is think of ways in which you can just tip up, record something, and it will be good to go. As in minimising post-production, so we don't want to bring all of these elements together afterwards. So what I wanted to start off with is Recording 101 and talk about QuickTime. Who's used QuickTime as anything other than a way of playing back media? Okay. Okay, so it turns out there are a couple of things about QuickTime that make it really quite able and really quite helpful. So just really to start off with, as a basic way of recording yourself, I just want to show you one setup using QuickTime. So QuickTime has a number of options within it, including new movie recording. And what new movie recording does is it turns on your camera and opens it in a window. That's very flattering. But it turns out that actually you don't need to be recording anything. So that window can just sit on the screen and actually show whatever's going on in the camera. And so what you can actually do on your desktop. So say I was wanted to do a talk where there's a little bit of me interacting, or at least I'm visible. QuickTime will capture the video will capture whatever's on screen. So if I was to do a screen recording and start that, record the full screen. So QuickTime is now capturing any input from the microphone. It's capturing everything that's going on that desktop, including the video window. So effectively that's the simplest setup. There's no additional hardware required. It's using the inbuilt microphone, the inbuilt camera, and you've got a way of recording yourself and also whatever's going on in the desktop.
Will the frame rate of that be like that?
No, it's fine. You can't see this. The reason that's I'm casting to this, which is casting to that. Yeah. So there's a daisy chain of things going on, which is why it's appearing jerky. But on my desktop, and in terms of the frame rate that you get as you're actually recording this stuff, it's perfectly okay. We tried that a few times. And then when you're done, you press the little stop button at the top, and it will open a window which hopefully shows, if I was to play that back again, it's going to appear jerky on there, but on here, it's absolutely fine, and the quality of it is pretty good. So that's the sort of the starting point. You can enhance that slightly by just adding a webcam to it, so you can point it at someone, so you can start recording someone and your desktop. These act as perfectly adequate microphones, so again that's another add to it, because recording someone at, say, the distance you are from me, these webcam mics are pretty rubbish, and so I'd recommend using something like this. But again, it's just plug and play. It will let you use those two peripherals attached to here and just using QuickTime, and that's good enough. It works. Obviously, if you're recording someone and they're doing something on their laptop or on a separate screen, you'll want to capture that. But this goes back to the fact that anything you can get on your screen and you can capture your desktop, you can record. So another build on that is, okay, you've got an external webcam pointing at John, this using a Jabra as a microphone, so I've got those two peripherals going. John and I could have a hip chat conversation. We could set up a hip chat call, and you could share your desktop.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'd have a window on here with John's desktop, a video of John, and it would be recording audio through here. So again, without any new software or any hardware other than the stuff that's lying around, you've got a way of recording a composite-ish image of somebody presenting and what they're doing on their desktop. I mean, you can do it through any screen sharing, so Join Me, whatever you want to use. I'll come on to AirServer in a minute, but it's not bad. You can get yourself in a bit of a pickle with things like audio coming through HipChat and then, looping around on microphones or on the remote laptop. But if you shut everything down and just have this listening on that microphone, then it works. The simplest way of using all this stuff is just to use QuickTime, use your desktop, set up a composite of the shots that you want to create, either using somebody else's desktop or whatever, and then just record using capture screen. I then wanted to talk a little bit about the differences with that setup. Why have we bothered? If you can do all that simply, why are we actually bothered with buying a silver box and putting kit in it? The reason for that is it does give us more capabilities. In particular, it gives us the ability to mic people up. So this mic is there are three mics in there. There's this one, and then there are two throat mics, which we can then feed back through there. The mixing desk gives us more control over sound quality, and you can switch between mics, or you can have multiple mics going at the same time. So it's just it's a better solution from a sound recording point of view. And there's more stuff you can do. You can bring in multiple sources and all the rest of it. But you will need some additional software, generally speaking. But we think we've kind of narrowed it down to two products that you'd need installed. And again, this is just awareness rather than talking through what those products actually do. So OBS is an open broadcasting software solution. It's designed to be a live broadcasting solution. It's not going to look very exciting on my screen because I haven't got any sources set up. But basically what it gives you is it allows you to set up any number of sources, be they Windows or audio sources or video sources, so you could have multiple cameras. AirServer I'll come back to in a minute. Multiple cameras, multiple audio sources as well. And you can create, the way that we do show and tell is we create an image, a number of scenes with just, the presenter in the bottom right, the presenter is the whole screen, the screen is the whole screen, those kind of things, and then you can just chop between them. This is what it will record, and you can have multiple scenes. So you can start doing a little bit, some more creative stuff in terms of moving the sources around the screen and all the rest of it. It's actually, as with a lot of these things, it's a really capable product for something that's just available free. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's pretty intuitive, and if you want to do some more interesting stuff, there are all kinds of transitions and masks and ways in which you can use it, but we use it in a very simple way, and I presume Scott's using it in this way at the moment.
Yeah, I'm using it exactly that way. I can share the screen so people can actually...
That's really the final thing that I wanted to talk about was AirServer. So just to recap, in terms of the box, at the moment it's mainly a way of getting audio from different sources into the laptop. We don't use it for anything else. I mean, that's just a standard webcam on connected in exactly the same way as you connect anything like this.
And we're just using standard audio input into the laptop there. It's not.
It's USB.
Okay.
Yeah. There's actually a sound card under there which is taking all the inputs and then feeding it into the computer using USB. But again, it just recognises it as another audio input. It's not, you don't have to do anything special there at all. And there's a bit of fettling you have to do with OBS, but that's generally generally speaking, what it is. So you could use the box just as a microphone, as another way of getting audio in, rather than a Jabra, something like that. And again, not have to use OBS or any other software. It's not designed to do this, but one of the things that we found is that you can daisy chain Air Server presenting together. So what we do in Show and Tell is we have people casting to, you know, when you go up and cast, you cast to the PC at the back of the room. And that PC is casting to the laptop upon which we're recording the show. And it just comes up as a window on the screen, which you can add as a source in OBS. So whenever someone walks up and broadcasts what's on their laptop, they're air servering to that, which is air servering to the laptop we're recording it on. And then it's a source in OBS, so we can use that as a part of a scene in any way that we want. And you can do, I mean, I don't know where the limiting factor is, but you can daisy chain as many of these things together as you want. The only limitation being that you can only cast from one thing to one other. You can't cast from one place to multiple other sources using Air Server, other than by going, you know, hop, hop, hop each time. And that was it in terms of just an introduction to this box. Now, have you got any other questions about that? We can show you the basic how you plug it in, if that would help, if that would be a useful thing.
So, a recap, because the bit that I think most people will want to know is, if I'm on the hook for setting up Show and Tell, and you're on holiday and you're on holiday, then what do I do? And it sounds like plug that box in, use OBS, cast the Boardroom BC to your laptop with Air Server on your laptop, set that up as a source in OBS, and that is everything that you need to know. You need to get the camera input from the PC as well. Yeah.
I mean, I think what we need to do with Show and Tell, I think that would be the way your summary is perfect. The only additional thing you need to do is set up a couple more sources in OBS for the camera. Right. And the scene, but I think that's one that's definitely worth doing. Sure. You know, you learn through doing. But hope you summarised it perfectly. That's how it's set up. It looks like a lot of wires, but actually, what you do is you plug the power of that in, and then you take the USB cable out and stick it in the side of the laptop, and that's pretty much it in terms of setting up anything external you need to set up. It's then all about the software on the Mac.
Well, that's in mic positioning.
Sorry?
And positioning the microphone.
Yeah. Just a final one then. In terms of one more capability in OBS, which is quite interesting, is that it does allow you to record and also stream live. So, are you streaming this live?
I'm not streaming it live yet.
No, well, don't, please. That's fine. No. It can, if you've got the key to our YouTube channel, you can stream live. Anything you're doing on here, you can stream directly to YouTube via OBS. There's a lag of about 45 seconds normally. We've found. And it does just go up there automatically. There's no, but it comes as unlisted. Oh, does it come as unlisted? Because there was a 45-second excerpt of me and Scott talking about it and going, oh, that's quite cool, which actually got 47 views or something like that before we took it down. One of the least interesting YouTube videos ever. No offence, Scott, it was me. I dragged it down. But that's another quite interesting capability. So again, anything that's on here can appear on YouTube 45 seconds later, and the audio as well, obviously. It's not bad. But in terms of publication, you could just copy the file up to YouTube or whatever other medium you want to use to publicise it. What we've done so far is we've got Nikki to sort of top and tail it and make it look, add some sort of overlays and all the rest of it, just to make it look like more like the videos that are already on there. And at the moment we're just using a shared SharePoint folder called One to Do in this area, and just dumping media in there, and then she's gradually taking that off the queue, sharpening it up, and then publishing it to YouTube. So that's the sort of the publication pipeline we have at the moment. It's not great, to be honest. I mean, the stuff that Nikki does is great, but it's a very slow process. And I think one of the things we'll do going forwards is we'll create some sort of way of just firing this at a service or a folder and then automatically publishing that. Maybe topped and tailed, maybe just publishing it raw, but don't know yet. But that's something we'll do next. But at the moment, it's a SharePoint folder. Drop it in there, and at some time, hopefully in the near future, it will get topped and tailed and put onto YouTube.
You mentioned the different things we use to actually lay out the screens for show and tell. Is there a place that we can actually download those from?
The overlays and stuff?
Yeah. Yes.
No, it's a good question. So the way that that's done is it's actually done in Keynote with a green background, and then brought together using is it iMovie? iMovie. So literally, it's a green screen in Keynote. So any sort of graphics or text or anything like that or animation over the front of it is done in Keynote, which seems to be quite good at that kind of stuff, with a green background, and then you use a video source of your video, and that's how she's doing the overlays. It's quite cool. And if you've got any questions about how to do that, Nikki is definitely the person to do it. She's really, really good at that stuff.
That's how the Star Wars opening crawl was done as well. It was printed onto a table.
Oh yeah.
And a camera tracked back across the table.
I think the stars.
The Starfield was added as a
Tidbits.
Envelope.
They did it in space.
Anyway, I feel we might have reached the end of this talk on that basis, so thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Cool.